I'm told with age, balance goes anyway.
Yeah.
Anyways,
that's true.
but yeah, to have it one day in great capacity, and then to have it not be,
To not to.
it's yeah, it's been pretty debilitating.
Hey, speaking of things that we take for granted, as some of our audience may know, others may not, we're big advocates for Tennessee Kids Belong. They're a wonderful organization.
Ooh.
And so I went and shot with them the other day to help them with some interviews. And I don't even think I've told you this yet because we've just been so busy with other things. But so the things that we take for granted, during those interviews, typically they will ask them what are 3 wishes that you have.
What's your perfect day? What's your
what's your perfect day?
Simple things.
This one was, what are your 3 wishes? There was a 9-year-old boy. I can't give his name right now for privacy purposes, but there's a 9-year-old boy during that interview. And the 3 things that he asked for. Number 1, he said, I want a home.
Oof.
Not a house, a home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we often take that for granted.
Right.
Secondly, he said, I want a family that will take me to church.
Dang.
Yeah. Let that simmer a little bit, and then I'll wreck you real quick. Number 3, he said, I want to go to church so I can get saved.
Oh, sweetheart, you don't got to go to church. We can do this right now.
So those were his 3 wishes.
Right.
As a 9-year-old boy. You know, and then me back in the corner running the camera, I'm just, that one wrecked me pretty hard because, again, it's like this dude's 9 and he understands already the need.
Yeah.
For the plan of salvation. So that was something that, man, and those shoots are always difficult.
Right.
But hearing something like that from a kid that's so young is just, it's incredible. It's incredible. We make things so complicated.
Oh yeah, we definitely take things for granted. We overcomplicate things, as you stated, for sure. Yeah. Wow.
Wrecked me. 9 years old.
I don't know how to transition into our topic because
good morning.
It's well, there we go. How about that? Good morning. Hopefully you weren't driving.
I was going to say, wipe away the waterworks for a second so you don't wreck.
And yeah, so that you can see. But what we're going to talk about today is, we've all said it. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you this, every time I've said it, I have absolutely hated myself.
At least as creatives, we've said it.
I'll fix it in post. I'll fix it in post. I will remove that in Photoshop later.
You know what's funny is I see other creatives say this all the time, and I tell myself this all the time. I'm not going to fix it in post this time. And I still end up fixing a lot of things in post.
Yeah.
Because you get on the shoot, adrenaline's rushing, and you get what's called whiskey throttle, and you just throttle down.
I have never heard whiskey throttle in a photography analogy, but I mean, here we are.
Here we go.
Here we are. But basically, that's what we're going to talk about, is ways to avoid it and how to save yourself time in editing.
Hey,
in post.
In post, and speaking of whiskey throttle, this is funny because in my past life, I was certainly whiskey throttle wide open on some caffeine.
Oh.
and because of this, I suffered from a lot of bad side effects. Headaches when I didn't have caffeine. Oh, yeah. Sometimes I couldn't sleep very good. So whenever our friends Magic Mind reached out to us asking if we wanted to partner with them and their Magic Mind mental performance shot, I thought, what the heck? I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
I was drinking 12 to 1,500 milligrams of caffeine a day.
Ouch.
Yeah, just to function, just to feel normal.
What's in a coffee?
Coffee's about 70. Normal daily recommendation is no more than 500.
Ouch.
So I was doing about 3 times that.
Yeah.
So I thought, what the heck, we'll give it a shot. And I tried their mental performance shot, and I can sit here and tell you today that it has helped mitigate my caffeine consumption.
Nice.
I no longer feel the need for my afternoon energy drink.
Right.
I feel like with my family, I'm a little more present, a little more focused, a little more mindful.
Yep.
Because of the mental performance shot. And they do this with a few clean ingredients, including lion's mane mushroom. Right. Grown right here in the US of A.
Yep.
Ceremonial grade matcha tea straight from Japan, and others as well. And folks, they have provided a code for you if you would like to try Magic Mind for yourself. Use the code MOTION20. We will put it in the description down below.
There you go.
Get you some dollars off your Magic Mind subscription. Yeah. And Magic Mind, thank you guys for helping this caffeine addict out.
Yeah.
On that note, meat and taters, Jared. Get us the meat and taters. We are not fixing it in post today.
No, well, we say we're not. We probably won't.
We probably still will.
We'll probably still fall victim to this. But
do as we say, not as we do.
The literal goal is to attempt to help you save tons of terrible words about yourselves. Those late night edits where you're like, oh man, I really wish I wouldn't have said. I'll just remove that in post.
It's 3 a.m. and you've just popped a magic mind mental performance shot.
Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But here we are trying to fix something that we said we would fix in post.
Yes.
Well, I forget the PPPP, the proper planning, all that, right? You know, there's tons of phrasings there.
Yeah. I would just say
proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
There we go.
Something along those lines, right?
P's.
Right. It's at the end of the day, if you don't plan, if you fail to plan,
you can plan to fail.
You can plan to fail. So that's no different than with what we do.
Yeah.
And we've photo and video.
And we've kind of broken this idea into what I'm going to call 3 phases.
Right.
3 phases of not fixing it in post. We're going to fix it in pre.
Oof.
And we're going to fix it
in camera,
in present.
Yeah, we're going to get it right.
So let's kind of dive into phase 1, Jared, when it comes to not fixing it in post. And this, I think, relates whether you're a photographer, possibly videographer as well. But let's just say for phase 1, you know, I'm a photographer about to go do a family shoot.
Yeah.
Because I think we have a lot of people that we're close with or in groups with that this is kind of their primary thing. So phase 1 of not fixing it in post.
Yeah, it'd be pre-shoot, pre-production, whatever you want to call it. And you don't always have this opportunity.
Right.
And I will like big asterisk right there. Sometimes you don't have the opportunity.
Right.
But when the opportunity is present, you need to put the extra effort in and do some location scouting.
Yeah, do some homework.
Do a little bit of homework. Do some location scouting. For instance, if you know for a fact that this client wants you to come out to their family farm to take their photos, or you're going to do a shoot on this family farm, drive by a day or two before the shoot, around the time of day that you're going to be shooting, and just observe. Okay, so the light's coming in from this side. This section of the farm should be very nice and softly lit, you know, whatever it is that you're going for, but got
some trees over here I like, got some cows back here that I like.
So go see what you're going to be, you know, shooting in. I think location scouting, when you are afforded the opportunity, is definitely worth the extra effort. And I know, like, you're technically not getting paid
right
for that extra work, but here's the thing: the person who pays for your not extra work on the back end is you,
right?
In my opinion, it's you in the edit. It's like, gosh, if I just went there, I would have known. We could have shot over here, and I'd have solved all my problems.
Well, and I think it pays, or I think it does pay though to do that when you're afforded the opportunity, because at the end of the day, we're problem solvers. We've mentioned that in previous episodes, but we're paid based on how we accomplish our mission. You know, so a family doesn't care if you come out with the best camera that's ever been produced or the best lens that's ever been made. They want to know, are you going to capture our family in a way that shines a realistic and true and good look on our family?
Right.
And I think pre-production wise, location scouting is a great way to help yourself do that.
Oh yeah. Well, and so I'll give you an example of not being able to go in person. It just physically wasn't feasible.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, we shot year 2 of the Strong Mom event.
Yes.
Well, they had went to a new hotel, so we didn't have the knowledge of, okay, well, we're in the same hotel. We know all the ins and outs. No, this is a new hotel. So legwork on the upfront was I reached out to the hotel sales staff who does all of their events
to get some sample images.
I was like, hey, can you just literally go snap a few images of your conference center?
So you let the phone do the visiting.
So I asked,
the email. You let the email do the visiting.
Right, absolutely. I sent them an email. They said, yes, sure, no problem. The next day I had images, so I knew, okay, now there's a lot of windows.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm thinking,
we need a lot of light.
Well, do we need a lot of light? Like what?
Can we darken that?
What windows or what cardinal direction are these windows facing?
Yep.
You know, so I then took to Google Earth and saw, okay, this is that side of the building, right? Now I know that is a north-facing window.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it was. It was a north-facing
So
window.
we were going to have indirect light.
Indirect light the whole time. It wasn't ever going to be backlighting or beaming in from the east or the west. It was best case scenario. But all that to say, I knew at that point we would have nice ambient light coming through.
And we could actually use those windows.
And we could use those windows.
We didn't have to black them out.
So that was a use of just remote resources.
I was going to say, you're using technology at that point in time.
And
you're
then,
letting the email do the
Google
talking.
Earth. Google Earth has, if you use Google Earth, it has the sun feature.
Yes.
Like you can go through the angle of the sun on October 24th or whatever it is, and you can see, oh, there's the angle of the sun.
Yeah. And I think too that's pretty smart. And I'll say this because I am a in-person type of guy. I think we've mentioned that in the past, but I would prefer to actually physically show up on a location to scout it, but you don't have to. And that Strong Mom example was great. Like it would have made no sense to drive 4 hours to location scout.
Right.
When we didn't have a day for location scouting in the budget, but B, you were able to contact somebody who could get us some sample photos.
Yep.
We found a couple online as well. So like we let the technology work for us at that point in time. And I think that's a great way, but some form of location scout will absolutely help you, whether you're doing a family session, a car photography shoot, a corporate headshot, whatever.
Yeah.
A location scout will certainly help in pre-production.
That's mostly for like outdoor stuff.
It is.
If you're in a studio,
it doesn't matter.
Then that doesn't matter. Like
unless you're shooting in a new studio that you've never shot in before.
Right.
Like if you're renting a space out.
That's a good point. I guess the next thing that I would say with regard, like just another tool that you have at your fingertips, literally, with helping you in location scouting is, leverage social media location tags.
Use those photo groups.
For instance. Well, I'm even saying
you're
just
saying
location
period.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
gotcha.
like, let's just say for whatever reason, a very popular area, which I don't know if it's accessible right now. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but Max Patch.
Yeah.
Okay. That's in North Carolina. Right? It is a beautiful bald in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains, and a lot of people like to go take photos there. If you have
myself
been
included.
Yeah, if you are being asked to take photos there and you've personally never been there, guess what? Other photographers have been. So go to Instagram, type in Max Patch, find that geotag, and look at all the images. At that point, you can get a very good feel for what the space looks like. Again, use places like Google Earth. You can again see the whole area at that point. And it's just going to help you be a little bit better prepared when you show up.
Yeah, you can go ahead and have some plays drawn up, basically, for going into our coaching mentality.
And here's the other thing, too. It's one of those things where, again, we're problem solvers. Sometimes you don't – sometimes it just doesn't pan out in the sense like, okay, I location scouted – I planned for a sunny day.
Yeah, and we got some clouds.
And we've got an overcast day.
Or maybe the landscape has changed since you did your location scout.
So,
we've certainly had some landscape changes in the past few months.
You're still going to have to be able to pivot on the fly.
Yeah, you've got to adapt.
However, I've never been to a location scout or went through a location scout and been like, this was a waste of time.
Right.
It's always...
Yeah, it gives me more clarity.
It's always been of a benefit. And I guess the last one, still with location scouting, is, ask locals.
Yeah.
Ask locals.
Local people, local photography groups, bird watching groups, whatever.
Well,
whoever's been to that location.
You do have the people, and I'm not going to lie, you do have the people who, like, for whatever reason, feel as though they have the keys to the kingdom. They'll gatekeep, gatekeep secret spots,
Richards.
And stuff like that. But for the most part, I will tell you, the photography community and even the videography community is pretty forthcoming with information. So, for instance, if you really liked the way that this person's video looked, or you really liked the way that this person's set of photos looked, don't hesitate to reach out to them and say, hey, where did you do this? In some cases, you won't have access to that. That may be somebody's private property.
Right.
But, it also may be public property. And at that point, you now know of a place where you can go shoot photos and you know the location now.
Yeah. I like that. Leverage people. There's absolutely nothing wrong with asking people to help.
Right.
Most people are willing to. I know I'm an open book at. I would love to see what you do with some locations that I shoot at because it may give me some good ideas.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't know it all.
I always so it's also fun to for instance, we just had family photos, or not family photos. My wife and I had couple photos done, which was the first time since we've had photos since probably our wedding.
You tried to tell me you didn't have no nice duds.
I don't. Those were American Eagle pants, and my sister called me out on it. She said, "How old are those pants?" I said, "It
don't matter if they were nice duds."
She goes, "I saw the American Eagle, and I knew that they had some age on them."
Wait a second, Kylie. What's wrong with American Eagle pants? I still wear them.
Well, evidently, I'm an old fart.
Listen, time out. Side quest right here. The American Eagle Flex Fit jeans.
Yeah.
Are some of the greatest jeans in modern male jean design.
Yeah. That's probably a hill worth dying on.
Anyways.
But
jeez.
What was interesting, we shot at my house, and I've shot several sessions at my house.
Yeah.
And I knew the spots that I liked to photograph.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting to see a different photographer shoot on the property that you own and that you've shot, because it's like, I'd have never thought about shooting that spot.
Did she go to any of your spots?
No, she did, but she also picked a few that I was like,
never thought about that.
Never thought about that. That works.
That's cool.
And a lot of it had to do with fall foliage. Like there was a red tree behind,
Yeah.
so like it was really pretty and pleasing because it matched the dress and all those things. But like it was just really interesting to see how another photographer sees the same area. I don't know. That's just
I dig it.
Not really a point with location scouting, but just
I mean, it's a cool point though. Like again, reach out to people. People are willing to help.
Yeah.
And you might learn something.
So you can do all the location scouting that you want. You can location scout until you are blue in the face, but at some point it comes time to actually execute.
Yeah, you got to make a photo.
You've got to make a photo. You've got to make a video. You've got to show up and produce.
Yeah,
which is shoot. The production. This is the shoot.
Phase 2.
This is the second phase. And again, you could have everything planned out in this location scout, and you may be dealt a completely different set of cards the day of.
You can, and with that set of cards though, regardless of the weather, regardless of maybe how the landscape has changed, I think one thing that you and I both agreed on off camera for this first point is be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
Be aware of your background when you're shooting, because on your location scout, there may not have been a felled tree that is ugly and has branches sticking up everywhere and it's sticking up out of the back of your subject's head, whatever.
Right.
You may not have seen the dumpster that is in the back corner of your frame now.
Yeah.
But be aware of your background. Be aware of your location.
Yeah, be aware of like you said, your background and what is behind.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's really easy to get fixated on the subject.
Yeah.
You've got a million things you've got to concentrate on.
Poses,
exposure triangle. Did I manipulate? Like you've got all of these things. Oh wait, it focused. Like all of these things are running through your head. It's so easy to let the background slip. It's so easy to let the background slip.
Now too, I mean, with the improvements that we have in AI, it's so easy just to say, oh, I'll remove that trash can in post. Or, oh, that felled tree or those branches sticking up out of my subject's head. No biggie. I'll lay that out. But sometimes it doesn't work. It's not perfect.
It's not perfect. But if we're talking about ways to save yourself time in editing, you can save yourself hours of time
by not even having to use it.
By not ever having to put yourself in those situations. So like literally just take the extra moment.
Assess.
Listen, look at the back of your camera.
Yeah.
Review your images while you're there on site. I mean, that's a surefire way. I've very rarely been shocked when I get it into a computer based upon like what I saw that day. Now I can tell you that day or not if I should have moved 5 feet to the right.
Yeah, I mean,
I would have framed that tree out and everything would have been better.
Literally a single sidestep on the location will save you many steps in post. A single sidestep.
The only other thing that you could do is to help yourself with backgrounds. If your lens allows, you might be able to rely on some bokeh.
Sure. Blow it out.
Super shallow depth of field.
Might as well.
At that point,
I paid for F1.2. I'm going to use all of them.
Yeah, well, good luck on your focus system. But I mean, that is a tool.
But it'll be dreamy.
It's a tool you have at your disposal.
Oh,
so like, be aware of what is behind your subject, not just your subject.
Yeah, or blow it out and then you don't even have to care about it.
Well, there you go. That's an option. always
you said it, not me.
Always an option. But the biggest thing is I've personally fell victim to this many times, and it's more so like the most common, and this is going back to my wedding days. The most common is when you're taking all of those group shots right after the ceremony, and everybody just kind of picks a spot.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, there's an ugly fire pit here. It's fine. I'll stamp it out. I'll fix it in post. Well, guess what you get to do now?
You get to hate yourself for all 1,300 images.
You've got 62 poses and 62 groupings of that specific framing.
With that
fire pit. Now got to frame the fire pit out. Yeah. Whereas if you had it could be just as simple as,
like I said, a simple sidestep.
And
save you many steps.
Now you're going to save yourself a lot of time and hatred of yourself in post-production. The other thing that I think comes into play while on the shoot, in addition to your background, is to like nail your poses.
Yeah.
Posing is very difficult. I feel like that's something that most people struggle with.
Yeah.
And a lot of it depends on the style of photographer that you are. Most studio photographers are like really good at it.
Well, yeah, that's what they do every single day.
But like if you are more of a family photographer or
a documentarian,
you just want those candid moments. Yeah. So I will say this, like a pose is more of like a prompt.
Yeah.
I want to get you into this position that feels natural for you guys. And then seconds later, after your guard goes down, that's when that image.
Yeah, that's when I'm going to get the gold.
That's when I'm really going to get the gold.
Well, and the thing with posing too is it gets your subjects moving.
Yep.
It gets them kind of comfortable, kind of loose, and I think two people that are great at this are Bonnie and Melissa. I've done shoots with both, and while they are great at prompting me with poses, where they become even greater is what they fire after the fact. Because after they've posed me, they're then cracking jokes.
Right.
Or we're having a conversation, or we're making each other laugh, or me and Sarah are laughing with each other. That's when they're getting their gold. And so that's what makes them masters, in my opinion, of like posing, is the fact that they're not actually using those poses sometimes.
No, and posing is certainly not what I would call my strong suit either.
No.
Like I really don't. I would not say that is a strength of mine.
I'm more of a documentarian.
Yeah, let me get you into this pose or your version of this pose, and then I'm probably going to say something ridiculous. To
get you to crack.
To get you to crack, and now this is their version of that pose, and that's where the gold is. Yeah. So,
with that though, we still have to be prepared, and I think off camera we had mentioned too, there are some resources if you do struggle with posing.
Oh yes.
What are some of those resources that we have?
So you've got Unscripted.
Yeah.
That
is an app.
Probably one of my favorite posing apps.
It's a phone app.
And
I think it's for iOS and Android, but somebody fact check me, please.
There is a free version. Now you're going to be limited in what you can see. They're going to blur out some of the ones.
I think the paid version though is like $6.99.
Yeah, so there's a paid version and a free version, but Unscripted, it does a great job of breaking it down. Are you doing a newborn session? Are you doing family sessions? Are you a wedding photographer?
They give you many examples.
Is this a family with just the dad? I mean, so like it gives you all these categories and subcategories to just give you inspiration. So you've got Unscripted. You've got places like Pinterest. Pinterest is a great resource for posing. Like you can literally Google senior girl portraits by the water.
Yep.
And you're going to be flooded with
bajillion of them.
Tons of options. Like, oh, I do like that. I like that. I like that. So
save them.
When you find something you like, I would suggest this, and maybe this is because we're in the rural mountains of East Tennessee. Screenshot it.
Yeah.
Don't
rely on data.
Yeah. Don't think that you're going to have cell service on the top of Max Patch and be able to. Oh,
heck, my phone doesn't work at all currently.
Yeah, you've got a bad SIM card.
Got a bad SIM card, so have fun trying to contact me.
So. Yeah, screenshot it. That way it's at least in your camera roll, regardless of your cellular data. Basically, if you have battery,
you're good to go.
You can come back to that.
Make sure you charge your phone, though.
Here's
Some of us don't.
Well, yeah, you almost never charge it. So in addition to it not having SOS mode problems, you may not have juice.
Yeah.
But here's a quick like pro tip.
Ooh, bonus tip. I'm going to write this down.
Instead... So you may already have anxiety about posing, right? And so now you've got anxiety.
Ooh.
You've screenshotted
Pressure's
these things.
On. You're sweating.
You're sweating because now it's like, okay, I just did this pose. Let me pull my phone out and reference the next one. And okay. So You may have great anxiety about that, which I don't think you should. But if
your
you
knees
do,
are weak and your arms are heavy at this point in time.
Hey, maybe there's even vomit on your sweater. But instead of screenshotting them and leaving them on your phone,
yes,
screenshot them. So now you've got a JPEG or a PNG, whatever. Put those on their SD card that you put in your camera.
What?
Now,
mind blown.
Now you can reference them on the back of your camera.
I've actually never known that was a possibility.
It's like, and so now instead of you pulling your phone out to find the next post,
just kind of sneak.
It just looks like you're looking at the image that you just shot.
Which hopefully no clients are listening to this because this is.
Well, I mean, even still, they've got to know. They've got to know that posing is not natural.
Secrets
for a lot of
the
people.
Photography business.
Hey, just a little tip.
Exposed.
Put them on your SD card, and now you can reference them on the back of your LCD.
30 for 30. How to cheat your poses.
There you go. Last one would be overshoot.
Yeah.
Get those candid moments.
Yeah, get the candids.
Those are the best ones, anyways. And in all of my experience shooting families, shooting couples, the editing, the best images, 99 times out of 100 are those in between moments. It's the candid moments. That's when you really capture the personality of the person.
Well, they let their guard down because they're not expecting you to capture.
Well,
that.
I mean, most people aren't models, right? They're not used to being posed and put into these precarious, funky positions.
Correct.
But when you get those candid moments,
that's when they're in their natural habitat.
So you've got to overshoot a little bit.
Yeah.
Very rarely have I ever, actually almost never, have I ever gotten to post and been like, wow, I took too many images. Even if I took a lot of images, normally it's easier to weed down something. But guess what you can't do?
You can't add pictures.
Can't add pictures. So if you didn't take it and you get in there and you're like, I'm delivering 20 images and
I'm drawing right now. I'm drawing for straws.
I've only got 12.
Sweetheart,
so
you're in trouble.
Get those candids, shoot the in-between moments.
Yeah, I can
shoot the in-between moments.
I can agree with that. So these are good phase 2. I want to move into phase 3, and that is actual post-production. So we've talked about all the ways to help mitigate hating yourself in the edit, but now that we're actually in the edit, let's kind of touch on, again, things that will just save us time.
So my workflow, every single time I get back from a shoot, regardless if it's a client shoot, a shoot that I've just went out and shot photos for myself, whatever, my workflow never wavers. I've got this down. This is what I like to do. I always import my images. Now I'm sitting here in Lightroom. My first step is to go through all the presets that I've created for myself, pick the one that I like the best.
So you're creating presets then? Or I have created presets and you're going to use those?
I have created presets, or if you've downloaded and bought presets, on that first image that you like, I'll normally cull first, right? I'll normally I'll do a first pass.
Right.
So now I'm only editing the ones that I like. I will, on that very first image that I like, I will find a preset that I like, whether I created it, whatever. Boom. Then I tweak that image. Yeah. Because presets are not like
it's not a be-all end-all. Yeah, it's a starting place.
It's still a starting point.
Hey, by the way, I'm going to do an upsell here and a shameless plug. If you want to know how to organize your Lightroom catalog, Jared has a great YouTube video on his channel, on his personal channel, on how to organize that. It actually helped me tremendously, and I've been in Lightroom for a long time. So
it is kind of daunting, but that's what I do. I go to the first image. I throw the preset that I like the best on it. I fix that image. I get that image to its finished state.
Yes.
And here's where the big time saving comes. I copy those settings.
C and P.
And paste them to the rest of the set. Now, does that mean that every other image is done?
No.
No. However,
it's a starting place.
I have greatly saved myself a lot of times because this was the same location, mostly the same lighting, the same skin tones, the same, like...
You've got the same base now.
I've got the same base.
Versus editing each individual picture, and by the time you get to the end of the set, it looks nothing like the first picture.
Right. So, yeah. Get that first image the way you like it, copy and paste it to the rest.
Yep, that's your starting place.
It's
consistent.
You're already way more consistent at that point.
Which we talked about in a previous episode. Like, having consistency in your photos is very, very important when it comes to your style, your look, et cetera, et cetera.
I think that's really where you start to note someone's growth as a photographer.
Yeah.
A lot of beginners struggle with that. I struggle with that. My first few sets of images, not cohesive whatsoever from start to finish.
because I was editing each individual picture.
Right. I then learned that you can take the principles and the settings from this image and start the rest of the images from that exact same starting point. The next thing is be careful with your edits. And what I mean by that is like less is truly more in most cases.
Make minute adjustments, small adjustments.
Make lots of small changes.
Yeah.
You know, if you're constantly moving all the sliders all the way to the extremes, you're impacting a lot.
Clarity slider 100.
Take it easy on the clarity slider. That's that and the dehaze. Those are my pet peeves. But do lots of small changes. That's where you're going to really see the impact. And along those lines, I'll say this: it took me a while to learn the power of masks. Even in Lightroom, they've got great masking options now. That used to mostly
Linear,
be
radial, subject, background.
That used to mostly just be in Photoshop.
Yeah.
But they've started to give a lot of power to the masking section within Lightroom, and there's a lot of really great tools. But rather than using one or two masks, I have found that most images are much better suited with lots of masks that are very localized, very specialized, small adjustments.
Well, and they're all designed to point to your subject.
Right.
That's what your masks are designed for.
So
I would even say lean into auto masking. I mean, Lightroom now specifically, their auto masks are incredible. They are one click, and most of the time it's going to nail it.
They've got
most of the time.
It's really good with select the subject.
Yep. Background.
Select people.
Yep.
Select sky.
Yep.
Those are all really, really powerful, and they're really good at it.
They're one click.
And they're one click. So yeah, don't neglect the automatic tools that are there.
Right.
One of my favorite features from the people version is you can it'll break each person down.
Parts.
It's like, oh, you want to whiten their teeth, which is something that most people have to do anyways.
Right.
But instead of
shout out coffee drinkers,
I used to have to brush that in.
Manually
every single time. And now that exists, it's like, no, person two, change the and
breaks it down via the body part.
So it's very helpful. But I say all that to say, even with masking, less is more. Don't make great adjustments. Don't make massive adjustments. And even if you want to, a mask is a great opportunity to literally paint.
Yeah.
If you think of Bob Ross. Yeah. When he starts his painting, it's normally one color, two colors, whatever. But by the time, because he's layered, he has layered happy trees. He has layered this brook running through the whatever. But it's because he does a lot of small things that makes this beautiful image.
He's used a little bit of sandstone beige as his sandy base. Yeah, with his big brush.
Cleans the brush.
With the wide brush.
It's no different.
Get a little bit of clean it.
It's no different with photo editing. Do lots of small local adjustments.
Yeah. Don't cook them.
Don't cook them. You'll see a greater impact with 8 masks.
Yeah. Versus one giant mask that you've cooked.
Yeah. So that would be my biggest tips with post-production.
Yeah.
In addition to just good catalog management.
Yeah. Which again, you've got a YouTube video for. Hey, folks, by the way, let's get Jared to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's well on his way.
Yeah, well, you know.
So if you're out there watching.
It is more than 0.
Need some good tips and tricks. He's got a very good channel for that. Jared, I'm trying to think of anything that we can add even to the post-production phase, and I think we've nailed it.
Well, in regards to speed.
As far as saving time, obviously there's a lot more granular things when it comes to editing, but...
Oh, you could do a whole episode on editing tips.
Right, but today we're just trying to save time editing, so I think that right there
the biggest is copy and pasting.
Yeah.
And I see so many images from beginners and sets. It's like, I don't know if they're just editing each individual image in Photoshop.
Right.
In which case you don't have the reference of the first image, and so or if they just didn't realize that you could copy and paste the settings. But yeah, that saves a lot of time, but B, it already helps you a lot in having a more cohesive set.
Yeah. Speaking of saving time, if there is anybody that you know and you're listening to this episode that you think this would resonate with them and save them some time,
right,
with their creative photography process, shoot them this episode.
Yeah.
I think, again, we're trying to help as many people as we possibly can.
Right.
And in return, we ask for a couple of things. Jared, what would those be?
reviews. You know, leave us a rating.
Yeah, stars and bars.
Bars. Leave us a comment.
Yeah.
Specifically, I would love to hear if you have any editing speed tips.
Yeah, put those in the comments down below. We read them all, good and bad.
Or if you found a really helpful pre-production or location scouting tool that we didn't mention.
Yeah, put it all down there.
Again, always looking to be better.
Put it all down there. Also, again, if you would like to try the Magic Mind mental performance shot, we'll put that down in the description below as well. Motion20 is your discount code.
Use that code.
And on that note, Jared, here's the hard part.
We will see you guys in the next one.
He didn't make that very hard. See y'all.